Okay, so in our first match we got Mike Lacoursiere against Stephen Medhurst. Mike is the 5th qualifier through the points throughout the year, and Stephen is the 12th qualifier for the points throughout the year. So let's get this game started. Oh, a strike right off the hole. Yep. Very nice. Always a good way to start.
So Mike is our TPC runner-up this year. He lost to actually Stephen in the final.
Stephen in the final.
So it's a TPC final rematch.
Yeah. So Stephen won it 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a feat.
Yeah.
And Steve answers with a strike.
And they both seem to be throwing the ball. They're both finesse players. They're rolling the ball, and in both cases, both of them threw the ball well enough to carry over to the corners.
So at Heritage, is the scoring generally really good, or is it a tough house, or?
Well, it's a very fair house in the sense that it can accommodate pretty well most any ball. I would say the quicker ball or the speed ball it has a little bit of an advantage over it, but the game basically allows anybody to play it, and the biggest thing is getting your technique. Each person throws a little differently. These gentlemen both are very accomplished players. We haven't seen Stephen as much as I have Mike.
Yeah, because he's originally from Ontario.
Exactly, yeah. Mike and I have been roommates through the tour for the last probably 10 years. So I know a fair amount about Mike's game, and he's been right in the final shows on quite a few times. Just hasn't pushed through to win, an all-win.
So Mike needs 15 in this frame to win the first 2 frames, so fairly key shot. I mean, I think he's looking to probably play that little thinner line there, hoping not to punch so he doesn't have to force too much pressure on himself.
Mm-hmm.
So,
just so people know, our format is kind of like a skins game, so it's frame for frame. So you're playing frame for frame. Whoever wins the frame, the most frames in a match wins the game. So not necessarily the score.
Right. In this situation, we've got Mike up 2-0 right now to start it off, and that's always the way you want to start as a competitor.
So they're winning money now for each frame, correct?
Yes. So in the round of 8, we're playing for $25 a frame.
Okay. So Mike, $50 already.
Yep.
And another strike.
Great shot.
Again, you notice that Mike is a fairly finesse player, rolls the ball. He's not looking to overpower the pins. And when his timing is on, the pins, he can make them dance. Stephen again throws a similar shot, not overpowering, but very finesse.
You know, and not necessarily. Sometimes when in this situation where Steve loses the frame by throwing a corner, he actually threw a fairly good ball on his first run. Yeah. Sometimes luck is a variable that we can't control.
Yeah, it's tough with the frame for frame format. You get one bad break or lose a big carryover, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah.
But it can turn pretty fast too. You can all of a sudden you can be up a bunch, and then a guy goes on a roll, throws 3-4 great shots in a row, and next thing you know, it's all even. So
yeah, I know that from last night. I just want to take a second to recognize some of our sponsors. The Karen Pilon Organ Donor Foundation, 5-Pin Universe, All-Star Bowling Sales, Bradson Promotional Group, A&B Express, and all our bowling centers for the tour. The Golden Mile in Regina, the Autumn Open in Paradise Lanes in Calgary, the TPC at Sherwood Bowl in Sherwood Park, and the Heritage Traditional here at Heritage.
Okay, so Stephen wins that frame, so now Stephen is on the board. So 3 frames to 1 on the fact that Stephen threw the strike in frame 4, and Mike got a left corner pin.
So what happens if they tie in frames? How does that work?
I believe it's the total score would win the
5-5
carry on
and
to
we
the
carry
next.
on
So the score does count. It's not everything, but it does mean something at the end if it happens to come down to a tie.
It also means a lot to the competitor themselves as well. Every time when we play this game as a natural in the tournaments, the scores are what we look at. So when you're playing and practicing and such forth, the score is important to us as well. It's a mental side that it helps you with.
Yeah, the psychological thing, confidence.
You bet. Yeah. And confidence, the more confident you get, obviously, the better you play.
That's what they always say, the power of positive thinking. Eh? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do, but it works.
Yeah, it is. It's human nature to a lot of times look at at our deficiencies rather than what good things that we accomplish while we're playing a specific sport. Bowling is no different than any other one. It's the game of 5-pin. A lot of people look at it and don't think that there's a lot of physical attributes needed for it. But if anyone plays this game and goes out on a Sunday or a day with their children and go throw 3, 4, 5 games in a day, it's amazing how much our muscles really react to it.
Oh, I challenged one of my ball buddies and stuff. Said, go throw 10 games. You're going to be hurting.
Oh, exactly.
Good shot from Steven.
So there's the double we were talking about. So another frame for Steven. Yep. So 3 frames for Mike, 2 frames for Steven. The one thing about Mike's frame last time, it didn't only cost him the 1 frame. He only missed the middle twice. So fortunately, it only cost him 1 frame. It's not going to cost him more than that. But looks like the match is pretty even in total as well right now.
Ooh, a little thin there.
It looks like Steven's starting to get the roll of the ball. Part of that is also, that's the hardest part of this format, is that you have 10 frames to work at it, and sometimes the game seems to go way too fast, and you can't adjust like we do when we're playing in the larger tournaments.
Yeah, sometimes when you're on a roll, it's good to keep going, but if you're struggling, you need a little break here and there too.
Yeah, exactly.
That was key for Mike to come back after that last frame to throw that good shot and get his confidence back, and now we've got a 2-frame carryover. So 3 frames to 2 for Steven. Steven's got 2 and Mike's got 3, and 6 frame is a carryover.
I see we have one of our gentlemen from Regina that's here with the tour.
Oh, Rick and Warren?
Yeah, Rick and Warren are here. Nice to see that. We have another proprietor, Mike Tweedy, is in the crowd. So it's good to see Mark Miller, who's representing Paradise Signs.
We have our WCBT executive in the front row there.
Mr. Kerry Greitz.
Oh, little kick back there.
12 count, top +2. Some people say this is the hardest pair in bowling.
Brad Glynn definitely did.
I think I missed one against Gino last night.
Good shot.
When you're watching Mike throw, when he's throwing well, it just looks so smooth and effortless. He just not forcing anything, and that's the key for most bowlers, is just keeping that tempo good and just keeping a good solid tempo throughout the whole delivery.
Yeah,
getting to your release point is very important.
Both of you guys have played this format on TSN, I do believe, right?
Yes. Well, it seems to me you were the last time we were fortunate enough to have TSN televise our sport. You were the champion, was it not? In BC, was it?
No, in Ontario.
In Ontario?
I was the last TSN champion. Yeah.
So
tough head pin there for Steven, so that cost him 2 frames. So
Mike should be up 5-2 now, or
5-2, yeah.
So Steven's going to have to throw some strikes here to stay in the match.
Yeah.
So, to bring it to the total.
Yeah.
Now for Steven, he has to win one.
Yeah, and carry the total.
If he can match Mike and then win the last one, then obviously his total would carry over for him.
Looked like he overthrew that one just a little bit.
Yeah. This is where the pinfall is important. You want to make sure you're going to get 15. Force your opponent at least to get a mark to win a frame. So
Because we all know how hard it is to clean up a head pin.
it can be difficult. So this is 2 key shots for Steven.
Or the other is if you get a drop off, how hard it is to spare one.
Yeah, those are really hard.
Well, in your case, corners were too.
Yeah.
13.
13 for Steven.
13 for Steven.
So Steven's score of 205 is a little less than what he normally would throw. But if you look at his frames, he's been on the middle consistently and stuff like that. Part of this also is pretty tough for these guys that they haven't played since their national championships of last year or such, and the tour has been finished for 3-4 months. So these guys basically are practicing a little bit here and there, and it's they may not have their full game with them.
Yeah, everybody's a little rusty. Hopefully they threw some practice games leading up, but
Just what we were talking about here. Mike throws the head pin in the 8th frame, and so he needs more than 13 to win the frame. That was a key shot there for him.
Yeah.
So he basically has to hit the 3 pin to guarantee at least a carryover. If he hits them both, then he'll have won the match.
he blew by him.
He blew by. Yep. So there's a frame for Steven that he was probably not expecting. And now our pinfall, Steven's up 20 in pinfall.
So it's getting to be a barn burner now.
Yeah, it's 9 and 10. How many times have we seen 9 and 10 come down? This format is helps with that quite a bit as well, right? I mean, it can be done early, but more times than not, this is what'll happen. So, well, again, key.
Little 7 count there, so you got to kick back on the 2 pin.
That'll help. One less pin to knock over.
That's true.
Oh, another 2 pin.
What would you say these guys probably average in league?
Well, Mike this year. I've had the opportunity to play with him in Bonnie Doon in Edmonton, and Mike was at the close to the 270, 273, I think, average. So Mike is throwing the ball very well. Steve, I'm not sure where Steve's playing league, but Steve there again is a 260 to 270 average bowler. You say in our game, at one time, if you averaged over 200, you were in the top 2% of the game. I think with the inception of all the youth schools that we have going throughout all the provinces, I think that number has imploded quite a bit. The youth, if you look at it, the guys that are out here and playing, Mike is the eldest of the group.
Yeah.
And most of the other ones are from the ages of maybe 40 and down. And that...
So, it comes right down to here, the 10th frame. Sorry, Gino. It comes down to the 10th frame here. So whoever wins this frame, Steven has to win the frame. So regardless of the total pinfall, he needed to win this frame. So again, this is where sticks become so important.
And in this situation here, if they tie, then they split the frame, and Mike would be the winner.
Yeah.
Steven will have to win the frame outright.
Yeah, that's right.
It's tough to get those pins when you need them. Good, well, 12. So 237. So Mike needs 13 to win the frame and win 6 frames to 4.
And just a reminder, it's $25 a frame.
So what do you think he's going to do? Is he going to try and play a thin line and not?
Well, there's a lot of players that use the old theory of thin to win. I've never I've never been a strong.
Big kickback on the
Or
7
did he?
count. We got the
Okay.
7 count kickback. So
I'm always a firm believer. You throw your shot. You throw the shot that you normally throw. You can't change it up.
Exactly. I believe that the whole object of the game is to throw strikes. And the thing is if you throw thin to win and you don't hit the middle, and then you go up on your second ball, you can just invariably punch the head pin on your second
comes
ball.
down to
as the
this ball.
first.
So it has to hit the 3 pin.
He has to hit the 3 pin.
Well, no,
pin to
Mike,
advance.
Mike is already
Oh, he's
won.
guaranteed, because he's got the
won
tie.
because they have the tie.
That's right.
This
So that
would be
was
for the frame itself.
All right.
Mike wins 6-4.
Yeah. Congratulations to Mike Lacoursiere beating Stephen Medhurst 6 frames to 4.